the smoke-filled clouds of the 303, all the way down to the 505. This is the Dro Bro Show with Remo Vinci, Grimx, and Soul Doja. Yeah, the Dro Bro Show.
What's up, everybody? This is Mr. Vicious, Remo Vinci, and we are back with episode 6 of the Dro Bro Show. And I don't know what the fuck happened to Doja already.
I didn't quit touching my phone.
Right, 6. This is episode 6.
Episode 6, Grim's favorite number.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, we just passed my favorite number, and we had Anton, a very special guest. And today we also have a special show for episode 6. Grim, you want to give him a little insight of what's happening today?
So we're gonna delve back to our wrestling stuff, the road to WrestleMania. First thing I'd like to mention is the whole Dreadmare stuff. So for those of you who don't know, Bo Dallas, also known as Uncle Howdy, but real Taylor Rotunda, the brother of Bray Wyatt, the late Bray Wyatt, he's been doing vignettes on a channel on YouTube called Dreadmare. And the last 2 weeks, he's had like a small sneak peek basically on Raw. So something I wanted to mention, and me and Remo have been going back and forth on this, and I think I've mentioned it to Soul. I think he's going to make his appearance here at WrestleMania. And I don't know whether night 1, night 2, and what the plans are for that. But in one of the vignettes, he says that he's coming. And I mean, he's saying all that, but in an interview he said he is returning to WWE, but not as Bo Dallas or Uncle Howdy, as something.
Yeah. Like Grim was saying, he actually shared some of this stuff with me. He shared the links to a couple of these videos. Doja, I don't know if you were able to watch any of that stuff yet or not, but it's hella creepy. Like, it's right along, it fits right in with the Wyatt character and where he kind of left off, and the type of aura he was bringing. And I felt like when Wyatt passed that we lost all of that. Like, there's something to be said about like how in our childhood, we had the Undertaker, and the Undertaker was this ominous, dark character that just, was so like polarizing, such an awesome character to really get into. And then as we got older, we really kind of lost that storytelling and that character development as far as wrestling goes. For the most part, there were small characters here and there. But until Bray Wyatt came along, there was nothing else really to take that place. So, a quick little thing, Wyatt was one of my favorites, and he was my age. So when we lost him last year, I was pretty tore up about it. I was a big Wyatt dude. I was hoping, along with a lot of us, I think, all thought that there was going to be this Wyatt 6 that they kept talking about. That Bo, would potentially come back and join his brother in this group, that there was going to be a couple other supporting characters, Alexa Bliss being one of them. But yeah, a lot of that stuff.
That was when he was the Uncle Howdy character. And
yeah.
It's funny in that, because I was just watching an interview with Bray talking about the evolution and how it's going to unfold. He don't even know how the story's going to go, and it's really sad we're not going to see that now.
Yeah, I agree. Like, I was very intrigued with what was going to happen and what was going to come from all that. I think Wyatt's last match was at Mania last year against LA Knight. With that Mountain Dew Pitch Black match or whatever. Unfortunately, I think that was the last time we ever saw Bray.
Do the LA Knight, yeah.
I'm not necessarily sold on LA Knight yet, so that match was kind of lackluster to me, but knowing that it was Bray's last match now, it makes me want to go back and revisit it just for nostalgia purposes, I guess. But along with these vignettes that Grim was talking about, to see Taylor or Bo, whatever you want to call him, to see him taking over where his brother left off. And it seems to be like something pretty awesome in the works here, you know? So I'm anxious to see what happens if there is going to be some kind of an appearance at Mania, or excuse me, we all know that the Raw after Mania is known to be the biggest Raw of the year also. And there's always comebacks or just all kinds of crazy stuff that happens on that episode also. So I'm anxious to see if it's going to be at Mania, if it's going to be Raw after Mania, or if they're still going to draw it out, or if they're going to do anything at all with it, because I think it would be awesome. You know, speaking as a Wyatt fan and as somebody that feels like we need that type of a character in the wrestling world, I'm excited to see what happens with it. Doja, are you familiar with Bray Wyatt at all, or any of this?
No,
Oh
I
man,
was just gonna tell you. So, like, for the people that aren't watching or that don't know, I mean, that are watching that don't know, like me. But I kind of remember. But can you guys explain what's a WrestleMania? Why is it so? Why is this event such a big event, so special? Like,
Good
Grim, you want
question.
to take that one?
Yeah. So this is basically like the pay-per-view of pay-per-views at the time. And so Remo and I discussed this in the first episode, and I mentioned why this is why I call it wrestling. Not because I'm making fun of it, because to me that's referencing back to the territory days, you know,
Yeah.
when thing really started. So there was territories throughout the US. You usually, unless you worked out a deal, you didn't really mess with other people's territories. You only wrestled in your territories with your wrestlers and all of that stuff, traveled within that area with your promotion. And when Vince started to take over and he was acquiring all the rights to these territories, and when he took over WWF, now known as WWE, uh, he he came up with the idea of having a WrestleMania, a big event where you could feature all of these stars that he's been acquiring over the years through the territories, and basically having like a super match card, but having it televised um, nationally, because these territory ones were only televised in the areas where uh, they were wrestling at. So within that region, you were able to watch those wrestling matches on TV, but it's not like you're watching a whole national wrestling division until WWE came around. And when WrestleMania happened, it was such a big event. Um, who was it in the end match? Zeus and Hogan, wasn't it, in the first one?
No, that wasn't for a few more years. The very first one was like 83, 84, something like that.
Yeah, 83.
And the big buildup was Hogan and Piper. They
Yeah.
were the two. They were
oh,
the big.
that's tight.
But so this is when Rocky 3 had come out, right? And Hogan played Thunder Lips in Rocky 3, and then Mr. T was the protagonist. He was the Clubber Lang character. So Mr. T and Hogan had that little crossover appeal. You know what I'm saying? So like they hooked up, and that was the actual main event for WrestleMania 1. It was Hogan and Mr. T with Superfly Jimmy Snuka in their corner against Roddy Piper and Mr. Wonderful Paul Orndorff with Bob Orton in their corner. Bob Orton, for those that don't know, is Randy Orton's dad, Cowboy Bob Orton. And that was the thing about WrestleMania that was different at the time. You know, like Grim was talking about this whole national exposure. Well, they also had this crossover appeal into like mainstream media. Like MTV was just taking off, and they had just had an event on MTV called The War to Settle the Score, and that was the original Piper Hogan match. But obviously, you know, the way storylines are written is they leave the ending kind of open ended, so you could still come back and revisit it. So what they did is they introduced more characters into it, i.e., you know, Mr. T and Mr. Wonderful and all of that. And then they created this WrestleMania card to where they were going to have this super tag team match, you know, be the culmination of that feud. And Muhammad Ali was a special guest, like a referee. He was like on the
Oh,
outside.
nice.
Um,
That's tight.
this is when they started having all the celebrity involvement. Like the announcer was a guy named Billy Martin, I believe, and he was a big baseball personality or manager or something like that. Liberace was the the guy that rings the bell, the timekeeper. They had all kinds of different celebrity involvements. Excuse me. So that's kind of what started this whole giant event, and they created it to be like an annual thing. Now, it wasn't the first annual event for wrestling. NWA had already had Starrcade, and that was like the Super Bowl of wrestling, for the year. But once Vince took over and got all the celebrity involvement and the mainstream national media, like how he did, WrestleMania took over, and it never took a second step to any of that. You know what I mean? WrestleMania was always the top of the top. So this year is the 40th anniversary of that, WrestleMania 40. So it's a big freaking deal. It's in Philly this year. It's in Philadelphia, and there's like all kinds of stuff that we'll get into once we get into the card later. But Grim, go ahead and talk a little bit more about the stuff before we get into the card, more of the buildup or whatever you wanted to bring up.
So real quick, they do one WrestleMania a year, right?
So yeah, there's one WrestleMania event, but over the last couple years, maybe the last 4 years, I want to say, it's changed a little bit to where instead of being one night, now it's a 2-night event. So it's going to be
Yeah.
this weekend on Saturday and on Sunday, night one and night two. And for for those of us that have been long life wrestling fans, I'm curious to know how you guys feel. So leave your comments down below and let us know how you feel about the 2-night format. Me personally, I love wrestling and I'm gonna watch both nights and I'm gonna enjoy both nights. But it is a bit much, especially like my family doesn't always want to watch 10 hours of wrestling on their weekend. You know what I mean? So that's kind of a lot. It's a bit much. And I understand why it is that way, but for me it's a little difficult to consume that much wrestling in a weekend. So that's just my opinion. What do you think about that, Grim?
So honestly, with that, I I like the idea of the two because it gives a lot more wrestlers the opportunity to showcase at the shows basically. Um, the thing, like you were saying, is that you don't know how you feel about it. Well, with the two brands, and I get it at that point, then they should just become two separate brands. But for now, they're still small enough that they're contained in one brand at the moment, even though they're two separate shows.
Yeah.
With and SmackDown, and then you have NXT. So the startup show for WWE, basically. Um, I don't know. I think it's cool because now you have all this build up, and so of course you started with the night two stuff, obviously. Okay, with Cody Rhodes, The Rock, and Roman Reigns, all of this stuff going on, all of this drama. So there's been build up for a long time for night two, so people are already going to tune in. But then through this build up, you draw in an intricate storyline with the bloodline, making them interesting again by bringing the final boss, The Rock, Dwayne Johnson, back. And at that point, uh, with this story, it's now created an opportunity for night one that ties into night two, which is very interesting.
And honestly, I kind of feel like that might be the format going forward, is that night one will always have some kind of match with implications for the night two. I think that's going to be the only sustainable way that they continue on with this 2-night format without it becoming to be too much. You kind of got to lean into that. I'm assuming is that might be something that they do in the future. Um, how about you, Doja? How would you feel about doing 2 nights, 10 hours of wrestling this weekend to watch
It's
WrestleMania?
it's really 10 hours.
It's about 5 hours each day. Yeah.
I asked my homie and he said he's like I think it's three because he invited me over there to go watch him. But
Mhm.
I was like, damn, that's a because I remember like the pay-per-view events. Like I have some recorded some old school shit on VHS somewhere. But
Yeah.
anyways, because I used to rent them back when I first moved to Denver. But I remember when they were like 3 hours. So like damn, 10 hours. Hey, so do you have to pay for each one, or is it just one
So
price for both?
so they moved away, like domestically, they moved away from like the traditional pay-per-view kind of thing, and now they have it like streaming strictly on Peacock. Or if you have if I think if you have like Dish or some shit like that or DirecTV, something like they still might offer something. And I'm not sure how the pay scale is with that. I don't think that you could just pay for one night and that's it. I think you get both of them regardless. But I don't know. And I know outside of the United States, they still have a WWE network, temporarily at least, until everything goes to Netflix next year. And they
So how are you getting it?
Peacock.
Peacock.
Yep.
What, you pay for the premium?
Yeah, I think I pay like fuck, it's like less than $5, whatever it is for Peacock. I think it was like a $2 thing, and I think it got increased to like a $5 thing, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, they have some good. Did either of you watch the Twisted Metal show on Peacock from the video game?
No, but that's an interesting crossover point too, because Samoa Joe is a wrestler, a big time wrestler. In fact, I think he's still the champion in AEW, and
That,
he plays
Oh,
the
he's
what's the clown's name?
oh,
oh what
Sweet Tooth.
Sweet Tooth.
dude? That guy is nuts in that. Have you watched that show, Grim?
Uh-uh.
Oh,
No, we
damn.
definitely
See
need to
there.
check it out though.
Okay, so there's another show. Maybe we could start with that one because there's only one season.
Hell yeah,
Right,
I like
write it
that.
on the list. Write it on the list. Hey, don't worry. I'll get a notepad here soon too. We'll,
Oh, I
we'll
like
be,
this. I like this.
we'll,
This is gonna be
we'll
a
be,
running gag. This little like duly noted.
yeah. I'll get one too, and we'll have it all noted everywhere.
Hell yeah, hell yeah. See, we're just doing bigger and bigger things here at the Dro Bro Show. In fact, towards the end of the episode, we got some other news for y'all to be happy about. So stay tuned.
Stay tuned. Stay tuned. Coming soon.
So,
So go ahead,
wrestling.
Grim.
All right. We've got, I don't know if you want to bring up the cards for what
You want
night.
to get to the card right away?
Well, I'm just going to get into a little bit of it. You got Randy Orton's going to participate
Well,
in
hold on. You want to go down like I literally have it pulled up where it's both nights, seemingly the actual card for both nights. So you want to go start from the top?
Yeah.
So just from according to this post on Reddit, and it looks legit to me. I don't know. We'll find out when the thing actually starts. But it looks like it's gonna start off with Becky and Rhea. Now, for those that don't know, like Doja, just to fill you guys in a little bit, women's wrestling has grown leaps and bounds over the last decade, and they are just as much part of the main event as any of the other guys. And they've killed it as far as a lot of their performances go, especially at Mania. Um, this girl Rhea Ripley's from Australia, and Becky Lynch is from Ireland. She's actually married to Seth Rollins, and Becky was she was like the darling for the last couple years or so. She kind of took over. One of her monikers is the Man. They call her the Man. So Becky had created like this whole persona, this whole new following, from being this badass performer, didn't take no shit. I wasn't necessarily the biggest fan of it, but I respected her work ethic and respected what she was doing. And she recently just had a baby. There was like this baby boom in WWE. There was like 4 or 5 couples that had kids at the same time, and they were one of them. So she was out for a little while, and while she was out, this girl Rhea Ripley kind of started her rise. And to be honest with you, I think she is probably the most polarizing female performer since China. That's what I think. Now, obviously, everybody's opinion differs, but y'all remember who China was and how dominant she was in her time frame.
To be
Now,
honest,
Go
the reason
China.
I'm doing that is because she's doper than China, to be honest. Like, so China's dope.
What?
China was more than, if she's not saying so much. I mean, Steve Guerrero and Mark Henry helped her out a lot. But I mean, as far as, and not to take away from her, I'm just saying she didn't have the type of skill that I feel, the dominance, the presence, everything that Rhea Ripley does. Like, she's basically gone hand in hand with Damian Priest as people wondering who's the actual leader of the Judgment Day. You know what I mean?
And to be honest, I don't even think Priest is up there with her. I think it's more like Finn Balor in her.
Finn Balor should be, but
Yeah.
it's more, to be honest. And
Yeah.
I think
But
she's
I
a
agree. I
force.
agree. I think she's 10 times the actual performer that China was. The presence, I think, is about the same, because I remember China coming out and didn't even have to say shit or do shit, and she had the crowd in the palm of her hand. She had a presence all to herself. But Rhea, though, is able to play off of the crowd and she has great microphone skills. She has an awesome look, and she's great in the ring. You know what I mean? So Rhea, literally checks all the boxes. And it's kind of funny we bring up this whole China parallel because um, obviously she kind of started getting over more when she started messing with Eddie and started working with Eddie, and it was, Eddie was her poppy and all that kind of stuff. Well,
Latina.
now Rhea is working with Rey Mysterio's son Dominic, and she's his mommy. So it's like
Ooh.
it's real funny how that whole thing comes full circle like that. You know what I mean? But it's awesome. It's a great gimmick. Ray's kid Dominic is out of control. I think he's easily one of the best, up and comers in wrestling. And
Eddie
then
father.
say it again.
Eddie is his godfather, for those of you who don't know. And that's
Actually,
why,
no. Conan is his godfather.
oh really? I thought it was Eddie.
No. It's actually Conan. Yeah.
Because that was that whole storyline when they fought for the custody of Dominic.
Yeah, they said it was actually his father. He was trying to say that it was Eddie's kid. But anyway, Doja, I know you're not necessarily familiar with any of these people, but man, if you were, trust me, you would be a Rhea fan, and you would be digging on Becky too. And this supposedly starting off the whole event is going to be a good spot for them if it is that way. If they start off night one, because go ahead.
Oh, I was saying how you guys were saying like the female wrestlers have been stepping it up or pretty badass, and then I was saying I watch a lot of the UFC fights with my friend Ransom, but
Yeah,
the females in the UFC too are like brutal. I'm like,
yeah.
man, these females are aggressive, and then even when I go to the gym, females are brutal there too. I'm like, ah, jeez, these women.
Y'all ladies don't play. Y'all ladies don't play, and we
Hey,
see you. We see you.
My my favorite wrestler is still what's her name? Cemetery Baby.
I
You
don't
know,
know. I don't know if she wrestles anymore, but if she does, I'll make sure to let her know.
hey, bro, real quick, I'll never forget that match when she was fighting that dude and the crowd was saying, "Kick him in the pussy, kick him in the pussy." Remember that?
Yep. The crowds at indie shows, they're crazy. I tell you.
Yeah. So that brings us actually full circle to the first point you made about the two nights on WrestleMania. That actually, if I remember correctly, when they started it, the night one and night twos featured um, female division wrestlers in the main event. I think on night one or night two of either night, and Rhea was one. I believe on it was on a night two.
Um, the ones that I remember actually main eventing was Becky and Bianca, or I'm sorry, Sasha and Bianca. I remember Becky, Charlotte, and Ronda main eventing, and I don't think that when Charlotte and Rhea had their title match, I don't think it was the last match. I don't think it was the main event. So I don't. I think this is maybe her third singles match at Mania as far as Rhea goes, but I don't think she's actually had that main event slot. I could be wrong. I might need to look it up. But
And I thought it was one of the story points that they make, that how she sold enough tickets to main event at WrestleMania. You know what I mean?
I see.
And I think that's where she won the title, if I'm not wrong.
I
But
don't know.
anyway, thing that's disappointing is that it's so high on the card. It's the first match of night
Well,
one.
so from what I've heard, like, in Jericho's podcast or a couple other guys, they talk about like if you're not in that main event slot, then to be the curtain jerker is the next best spot. You know what I mean? To have the first one because that's when you have all the energy from all the crowd that's ready to go. You know what I mean? So, I don't know. It seems to me that the last several years, that very first match of the show does kind of set the tone for the rest of the show, and it usually turns out to be a badass match. So if they do start it off, I hope they kill it. I hope they start it off right because they have, I think it's like 14 matches for the card for Mania. So I don't know. I think that's both nights combined, but that's still quite a bit, especially compared to how Triple H has been booking shit lately, for it to be, longer storylines, fewer matches on cards. That way they have more time. That's kind of been his process. It's kind of been his formula, it's seemingly at least, So if there's, let me see, 1, 2, 3.
Well, he was a wrestler, so I
Yeah.
mean,
So right
he
here, I've got 13 matches right here. And I think that there's a rumored 14th that's not exactly written on any books yet. And we'll get into that later.
What
But
is what does Triple H do now?
so he's the COO, the what is it? CCO, Chief Content Officer. So he's in charge of like the shows, like how the shows are formatted, how they're booked, like how they're ran. That's his main job now.
Is he still with Vince's daughter?
yeah.
Yeah, but that's another crazy point is that this is the first WrestleMania in all of time to have not a single McMahon involved, or in the company
What?
for that matter, or in the company for that matter. There's not a single McMahon in WWE right now.
Why? Oh, never mind. Because
But The
Uh,
Rock took Vince's place basically on the board.
TKO board, yeah. Now TKO is the parent company for both UFC and WWE now, and that's the board that The Rock sits on, and Vince's spot that he took.
So WWE's went to Netflix.
Yeah,
so
next
wait.
year.
Whoa, man, that's a lot.
Right? Mind
Oh,
blown, huh?
yeah. Hey, so does Triple H? Does he still do his patented move?
Actually, he had a kind of like some heart complications a couple years ago, so he had to retire. So he doesn't do any in-ring anything anymore. He's
No,
strictly,
when he used to go suck it. Wasn't
yeah,
that?
He did stuff, and they were trying to fight. Who was it? Austin Theory, I think, or well, anyways, he's like, I ain't gonna fight you. I'm too old.
I don't remember any of that, but
I
yeah,
just remember.
So Kurt
he
Angle
had
was with.
to hang up all of that now. So he's, it's kind of funny because Triple H was kind of known during his wrestling career as being somebody that like would kind of fuck up other people's rise. Like he kind of politicked his way into staying the top guy for a long time. So at least that's what rumor has it as. So for him to be in charge nowadays and for him to be seemingly as fair as he is and like is a good guy to work for, it just seems kind of ironic because he was kind of the opposite when he was a wrestler, it seems like. So it's cool to see. I know a lot of us are grateful that he's in charge and not Vince. That's for sure.
Yeah.
What was that? What was that group they were part of that I'm talking about?
DX.
And it was
X.
DX.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that.
I think
I used
most
to.
of us got in trouble when we were young trying to do that crotch chop.
Hey, what happened? What happened is we're Stone Cold.
So Stone Cold was at WrestleMania last year, and that was a big deal because he hadn't been at a Mania in like 20 some years, or I don't remember
Yeah.
how long, but it was a long time. And
No, it was the year before, I think, wasn't it, when he fought KO?
I thought it was last year. It wasn't last year?
No, because last year was when KO and Sami Zayn beat the Usos for the tag titles.
Oh, okay. I got my timeline fucked up, y'all. Talk about it in the comments.
Yeah, his last one he faced Kevin Owens. But I'll let Remo talk about the match.
Yeah, that match was pretty cool. Like it wasn't really like Stone Cold didn't really go on TV and promote it a whole lot. In fact, I think he did one little thing. He was like on a four-wheeler in the middle of his ranch or something, and he just kind of said something about being there. Somebody running their mouth, and he might have to go and shut it for him or something. And that's basically all it was just like a impromptu beat down, you know what I mean? Just to get Stone Cold involved. And you know, he had it on the table for him to come and get involved for a decade at least, you know, to do something. But Austin's the type of guy, as are most of the old timers, you know, where unless it's the right thing or something that they feel that they could actually do and not come off looking worse for it, you know, they won't get involved. So that's
So
why we didn't have him for a long time. So it was cool when he did, and he laid a good ass whooping down on KO too. He looked good.
Stone Cold, he gave permission to KO to use the stunner because that's his finisher. For those of you who don't know,
Yeah,
and the big tie-in to their whole match and stuff. So this is like behind the curtain stuff that he did actually let him use the stunner. You know, KO approached him and stuff, and then they built this bond, and that's why they decided to do this match at Mania, even though there's a storyline involved. Um, Austin on his podcast, I think he was talking to, or yeah, he was on his podcast. Booker T was mentioning it on his about Austin. That Austin was talking about how he's old. You know, the last Mania match, he didn't know if he was going to do it. And guys their age, you know, when people are saying, "Oh, are they coming back? Are they coming back?" He said, at their age and after they're doing what they're doing, they're not thinking about coming back to the ring necessarily. You know what I
yeah.
mean? If it does, like Remo was saying, is that it's like something that's going to be important or special. It's not going to be just some random event.
Well, you don't want to taint the legacy. You know what I mean? Like if they have this awesome legacy already built up, and then they come back and have this shit match, you know, then it kind of ruins everything. So you don't want to do all that. You know what I mean? So I get where they're coming from with that mind state. But Austin did a great job when he came back a couple years ago. But that's also what makes this year so special with The Rock and having him be so involved like how he is, because he hasn't been for you know, quite some time. So you want to, before we
Okay.
move on to the next match here or whatever, let's get some predictions, and I'm gonna write these down so we can come back to it afterwards. And when we do our Mania recap show, we could talk about who was right and who was wrong and whatever. So as far as Rhea and Becky go, Doja, do you have anybody you want to lean towards?
Becky.
You're gonna mess with Becky? What
Yeah,
about
I messed with the Becky before.
was she a gypsy?
Kinda. But not that gypsy.
What about you, Grim? What you got?
That's kind of a loaded question. You know what I mean? To me, Becky's been in it for a minute in the title run.
Yeah,
She just lost the title, I don't know, maybe it was a while back, like 5, 6 months ago at least. But she's been working her way back to the top against all odds. Had to face Nia Jax, The Rock's cousin. Also, for those of you who don't know, who's also with what's his name? That guy who used to be a GM for SmackDown. Teddy Long. She's with Teddy Long. So anyways, she actually in a match, because she was known for hurting other wrestlers, broke Becky Lynch's nose to where she had to have facial reconstruction. And it went like 4 or 5 years where they never came back to the storyline. And they did this just this last year, but Becky had to overcome those odds, Survivor Series, all of that stuff, because she lost the Rumble. Bailey won the Rumble, as we talked about in episode 1. But so she went against all odds to get back to this point. I think they might give it to her, but at the same time, I think there's a potential that if Seth loses, which we won't know till night 2, that I think that could be a potential possibility, because that's the whole dominance thing in Judgment Day right now, is who has titles and who don't. And if you have titles, that's what they're trying to do, and that's what makes them the most dominant faction in WWE right now, because the majority of them have titles except for JD McDonough and Dominic Mysterio, who just lost the cruiserweight title a couple months ago. So I think she could potentially win Rhea Ripley, but they could. But if Seth loses, I think they're going to give him time off, to be with their daughter, because Seth's been he's been the workhorse champion since Roman has his deal where he only wrestles like 4 months out of the year.
And Seth is also still hurt. So I don't think he actually had the surgery that he was supposed to have yet. I think he just rehabbed real crazy. So odds are, if he ends up dropping the strap, on night 2, I think he is going to be taking some time off also. But which beckons the question again: who you got, Rhea or Becky?
I'm gonna go Rhea.
Gonna go Rhea?
Just because I would like the direction that storyline could potentially go, because that might be the beginning of her actually taking over Judgment Day, or it falling apart.
Now, I also am going to go with Rhea, just for the fact that I think that story has a lot more legs than if they were to give it back to Becky. I don't think Becky needs it. She's not somebody that is defined by a title anymore. I do think that Rhea and her rise to dominance and power, the title has been a very strong component in that package. So I feel like she kind of needs it. Don't think she needs it all together, but I do think that it's much more beneficial to her than it is to Becky. So I'm staying with Rhea. And our next match that seems to be on the card here is our 6-pack ladder match for the undisputed WWE Tag Team Championship.
Hey, real quick, do they still do the cage matches?
They do, but they're more like special occasion kind of things. They used to have like a pay-per-view for everything. They had the Elimination Chamber, which they just brought back this year. That's kind of what their main cage match is nowadays. They have another one that they just brought back too, called the War Games match, and it's like a 2 rings with the cage. I haven't seen just a regular steel cage match in a while, though. The last one I can remember was Matt Riddle and Seth Rollins. I don't remember one since then. What?
One on AEW with the Lucha Brothers and the freaking Young Bucks. I know you've seen that CM Punk's debut at AEW.
Yeah, that was like 3 years ago, though. So since then, I think that there's been a couple other ones too. But even so, they're few and far between. I don't think there's any other gimmick matches on this whole Mania card other than this ladder match right here. So it's 6 tag teams going for the titles. And so far, the tag teams that are listed are the Awesome Truth, which is the Miz and R-Truth, the New Day, which is Kofi and Xavier Woods, the Champions, which are the Judgment Day, Finn Balor and Damian Priest. They are called A-Town Down Under, and that's Austin Theory and what's his name, Grayson Waller or whatever.
Yeah, the Waller effect.
Yeah. Then there's they just updated their name to the New Catch Republic, and it's Pete Dunne and Tyler Bate. They're UK wrestlers.
They're dope.
And then the last one that's listed here is DIY, which is Tommaso Ciampa and Johnny Gargano, who are like indie darlings. These guys were big stars in the indies.
But they're
came to WWE, I don't know, about 6 to 8 years ago, and have been doing pretty good in NXT. Their main roster lives haven't been that long, at least not as long as I think so. But for this match, there is a rumor out there that one of these tag teams will be dropped and somebody else will move into that slot. And they're thinking that it might be the Austin Theory Grayson Waller team will be dropped. And I don't know how much truth there is to it, but I know that the Hardys contracts are coming up in AEW, and they had a Mania return at WrestleMania 33, I believe. And it was in a match just like this. It was a ladder match for the tag team titles, and they had just wrestled the night before against the Young Bucks in a different organization. and came to WWE for Mania and ended up winning the titles as a complete surprise. Nobody knew they were there. So there is a rumor that that could be happening again. I don't know how true that is, obviously. I think it would be cool because I'm a Hardy's guy and I don't really care for Austin Theory yet. But, we'll see what happens. What are your thoughts on this one, Grim?
Okay, so Austin Theory, I think he's got some skill on the mic and in the ring. He kind of reminds me of Kurt Angle, but more cockier, and I think he's kind of cool. They kind of mock him and stuff. Him and Grayson Waller are cool, but I think that Judgment Day is going to lose the titles for sure because I think Finn Balor's ready to go on singles run stuff, and Damian Priest still has to cash in the Money in the Bank. I mean, geez, he's already gone. It's freaking forever. I think it's the longest anybody's ever held the case.
Yeah, I think he's only got 3 months until the next Money in the Bank, and that's all he's got to cash it in.
So definitely, I think they're losing it. The guys that I think that are in the lineup to win are either DIY or New Day, or possibly even Pete Dunne and Tyler Bates, the Bruiserweights.
Now, me personally, I don't necessarily think that I like to believe that the Theory will be dropped and they'll bring in somebody else. I'm like I said, I'm not sold on Theory. I know he was one of Vince's last projects before he left, and they were kind of pushing him to the moon, and I don't think he was ready for it then. So I appreciate more this slow build that they're giving him now, to give him some better development. But I don't think he's ready for this yet. Um, I don't think that the Judgment Day is going to retain. I think they will end up dropping it, kind of to the same effect like you were saying, Grim. I think the focus is going to change a little bit in that group dynamic, which is needed, I think. I don't think DIY it's their time. I don't think the New Day either. I feel like the New Day has been kind of out of the mix for a while now, and they don't really have any kind of momentum going into this. So I don't see them really pulling anything out of it. But the Awesome Truth, I feel like might have a chance here at like making some kind of a surprise win here. And I guess I was just checking out a review thing today on Raw review, and I guess Michael Cole had mentioned something about when the first titles get taken down from the ladder, then whoever wins that one are the champions that have those belts, but the other belts that'll still be up there are still up for grabs. So it sounds to me like this unified titles might now be ununified, and they might be going back to their respective brands. So I don't know how true that is. That's what it sounded like to me. I guess we'll just have to wait and see how that happens. I personally, I'm not a fan of these titles. I think they look funky as hell. I'm not a fan of having 2 different tag team champions. I feel like there should only be one. And since there's such a healthy tag team division, I feel like it should obviously be defended more often. But I don't think that means that there needs to be 2 of them. I've never really been a fan of that. So I don't know. We'll see what happens. But my pick is the Awesome Truth.
So there's 2 tag teams that are gonna win and have the tag team belts.
That's what it sounds like to me. Yeah, like there's going to be 2 different sets of winners here with 2 different belts.
So is it like a everybody gets the trophy type of thing?
It kind of sounds like that, doesn't it? But it's like going to be the Raw champions and then the SmackDown champions. That's what it sounds like to me.
Hey, you better quit doing that with your one eye, because people are gonna think we're Illuminati.
What did what did I do?
See, because every time you turn over in my picture in my camera, it only has one eye, so you're like
Yeah,
this.
with your black and white checkered background.
Oh, see, dude, they're gonna really get us now.
Damn, I didn't know it was like that. Shit, I better get my shit together.
We better start teaching you about symbolism.
Yeah.
I don't like symbols. I'll only symbols I like, and it's only occasionally, and it's the double golden arches. That's about it.
You still eat McDonald's?
Well, I mean, you can't beat them nuggets and fries, bro.
Oh hell no.
Have you watched Super Size Me?
I did, and it made me go get a big gulp. Just saying, that bring your own cup, for Slurpee Day is coming up soon. So I'm excited for that one. I'm gonna take a whole 5-gallon bucket.
Hey, hey, thanks to Rub It In, we don't have 7-Elevens down here.
Oh man, do you guys have ices or anything like that?
We have a Circle K, but yeah,
Oh,
but
then you got Frosters. Shit, you're good. It's the
it's
same
always
thing.
it's always broken down, like no good flavors, no.
That sounds just like a 7-Eleven. Why are you complaining?
Uh, I
We're
want
not
the
sponsored.
I want I want the pina colada flavor. I want the Fanta flavor.
Yeah, we got all that shit too, but it never works. That's what I'm saying. It's the same thing.
What's going on with
Get your shit
society?
together, 7-Eleven. You're getting Doja pissed off.
Tired of this. Oh, oops.
Tired of this shit. Speaking of getting our shit together, we're about 45 minutes in, and this, for those of you that don't know, this is my first day being able to be an actual Dro Bro. I actually get to smoke with the guys today. So, what you guys got going on, Doja? I see you just letting clouds fly.
Well, I was smoking on some gushers. The first joint. These are my special cones that I like to do where I mix a ton of different weed. So I couldn't really tell you what's in here. But yeah, I got see with me nowadays, I have to buy by the pack of 200 right there. As you can see, cones that I be smoking, Big Reefa Chifa El So Doja.
Yep. Smokes by himself all day. Look at him.
I don't have to worry about getting, ever since COVID happened, I'll roll with people with their own joint. I won't. Sorry, bro. Those days are over.
Yeah.
My
What you got on there, Grim?
Pink
But Doja
lemonade.
catches his breath.
I
pink
got
lemonade.
yeah,
Say it again.
pink lemonade.
Pink lemonade. That sounds nice. Now I'm messing with like a pineapple haze myself. So here's to y'all, and here's to the Dro Bro Show, episode 6. I finally get to partake,
Yeah.
Oh,
and it's clogged.
that was everybody's cue to hit it at the same time. We're
No,
supposed to
damn it,
cheers.
fucked it up. Not only
Jeez.
not only is it clogged, but the pen died too. Shit, it's just not meant to be for me to smoke.
Maybe next episode.
No, fuck that. I'm gonna go get my other battery. I'll be right back. Go ahead and talk some more about this tag team shit.
So I don't understand why everybody has to get the championship stuff.
Well, it's only a few championships. Well, it's WrestleMania, so since it's the Super Bowl of wrestling, all the titles are on the line, and everything.
Oh,
The last two pay-per-views have been building up to people getting in line for these titles, and then So, anyways,
hey,
Remo.
wait. Since Remo's not here, should we talk about what that black and white checkerboard means? He's gonna go back and edit and be like, "These fuckers." Oh shit. Uh, we'll talk about it after.
Yeah.
Oh man. So uh so pretty much everybody that's wrestling will be like a title belt matcher.
No. There's going to be other matches that are lining up number one contenders for the next set after all dust settles. But so Remo said awesome truths, and I don't know if they'll give it to him, even though he's been tied into the story with Judgment Line or Judgment Day. He just had knee surgery. It's a few years back where he got, I think it was MRSA in his knee, and it ate away most of his knee on the inside. And before he was the 24/7 champ, but after that, it like really made it difficult for him to compete as much.
Ugh.
Who we
I know
talking?
but them wrestlers get jacked up, man. Jeez.
So remember, our truth got MRSA in his knee, and it ate out most of his knee cavity. I don't know if you knew that.
No, I didn't remember that one.
Hey, so should I hit my hash since you guys are hitting hash too, or should I just keep with the flower when we cheers?
You do whatever you want to do, my brother. It's your way.
Should I do the bait too? Ooh. Ooh, man.
Welcome
Try
back.
that one.
Hell yeah. There we go. All right. So back to our predictions here. Who you guys got for the tag team match? I had the Awesome Truth.
Oh, I'm gonna say the awesome truth because I love the awesome truth. I like hitting people with the awesome truth all day long, all night. You know what I'm saying?
Oh shit, he turned it into a promo himself. What you got, Tim?
Well, I don't know. I said the three themes, I think, and especially if it's going two ways, it's definitely going to probably be DIY and New Day.
So you think it is going to go down like that? So you're picking DIY and New Day.
I heard the rumor too that they want to separate the titles because there's so many tag teams, which is why I think they should. There's so many tag teams now in the divisions that separated on two shows, because why are you going to have one set of tag team titles for all these teams?
Yeah, I hear that.
Because tag teams are coming back.
I'm pulling out a
Is
whole
that
new page for our predictions here because I had only a little corner, and we got quite a bit to get through. So
is that isn't isn't Dwayne the Rock? I mean, isn't he in a tag team match too?
he
Is it the
is,
same?
and that's what's going to main event the night one. So we'll get to that. That'll be here in a few more matches.
All right, all right.
I'm just redoing our little thing here.
All right.
While
Redo
I'm
your
doing
theme.
while I'm doing this, the next match that we could get into here, it's a Legado del Fantasma, which is Santos Escobar, and he'll have Dominic Mysterio as his partner against Dragon Lee and Rey Mysterio as his partner. And they're
Wait,
the LWO. So it's the LWO against one member or the leader of Legado del Fantasma, and then Dominic Mysterio is in the Judgment Day. So we're representing three different factions here. Go ahead and get into that, Grim, while I'm doing this.
So Santos Escobar, he was part of the LWO. So right before Ray's surgery, jumped Ray, and they basically made it to where he injured Ray more. That's why Ray was out for so long on top of the knee. And then when Ray came back on crutches, he fought him again. And all this has been a build-up, knowing that it was going to come to a WrestleMania event. But Dominic and his dad have been feuding for a long while now. And at this point, and I think Dragon Lee, he's Ricky Steamboat's son, isn't he?
No, I don't think so. I think Dragon Lee is just a badass wrestler out of Mexico that was with AAA for a while. I don't think he was with PFL.
He is okay. So he said that Rey Mysterio said that Dragon Lee is the future of luchador wrestling, and that's why all this feud started. This is why Santos Escobar is mad at Rey, because he's like, "What the hell? I was your protege. Why the hell am I not the future?" And his son Dominic was the same. You know, like, I'm your son, and been training me. How come I'm not? But I think it's going to go to Ray and Dragon Lee because Ray needs the retribution on both of them and LWO.
I agree. I think it needs to go to the LWO because they've been kind of, from what I've seen in all the recap videos I watched, they've been getting their ass whooped left and right. It seems to be like they're the new job squad almost. So I would like to see them get the win here. Dominic doesn't necessarily need a win. I don't know about Santos Escobar either. I don't think he really needs it either. I do think Dragon Lee needs to have a good showing here because this will be his first big showcase. We already know what Ray could do. And, Dominic just impresses more and more every time he's out there. So I'm expecting this to be like one of those sleeper matches, that'll get a lot of people talking, hopefully. But I agree. I think it's going to be Ray and Dragon Lee.
Are you guys Are you guys talking about like the Rey Mysterio from like back in the day?
Yep,
He's
yep. That's his son that he's wrestling against. So Grim was kind of alluded to it earlier, how this has been like an ongoing storyline with him and his son. So their first WrestleMania, they were a tag team together, like they were father and son tag team. WrestleMania last year, they went up against each other. Now WrestleMania this year, they're going up against each other in tag teams. So it's pretty cool, like how this has been this whole evolution of their story together.
So they fight side by side or against each other?
Against each other.
So who's been winning?
So Ray's always the good guy, obviously. His son has become an awesome bad guy, heel. Great on the mic, great talker. He's pretty good in the ring too. Um, he's kind of gotten the better of his dad for the most part. I think he kind of needs to. I don't think Ray necessarily needs to go over on his kid, but it's definitely elevating him more than anything.
They still wear the mask too.
Ray does. Ray does, and so does this Dragon Lee. But Dominic never wore a mask.
I remember Joey said training down there in Mexico City with the Mexicans was nuts.
Right? His mom had just passed when he had gotten down there and was getting his stuff together.
I literally told that story to that wrestling homie the other day. But go ahead.
I was just gonna say, like I know, obviously when we lose a parent, like it changes everything in our lives. I can attest to that. But Joey T was on like a whole different trajectory. Like he was going to do big things in Mexico, and then his mom passed, and he ended up coming back, and I don't think he was ever able to go back there again. He kind of got real, being the man that he is, holding so many things together and wearing all the hats. He ended up staying. So
I thought that was a trip. When they that he went down there, like because I remember like before he went, he was talking about it, and then he was actually down there. I was like, because at the time too, me and Gary were recording. Ferry. We were recording promos and stuff for them, and then we were going like over there when they would practice and stuff, and
I remember.
And there was that Mexican luchador dude that he was wrestling with them for a while, and then he was kind of like training them, and then that's when Joey said, in order to really learn, I got to go down there. And I was like, yeah.
To be a well-rounded wrestler, you kind of have to do a little Japanese work. You have to do some Mexican work. You have to know how they get down in Europe, and then you have to understand how they work here in the States and on actual TV in the States. To be a well-rounded performer that could go into any roster, you know what I mean? You have to be able to kind of hold down all of that fairly well.
Hey, real quick, do you remember that first Primos match we went to? They had a luchador, and he jumped off it was like this second story balcony, but he he tumbled in the air. He like flipped so many times, like, and then he landed. We're like, oh, that was nuts.
I don't remember that show specifically, but I do remember seeing several Primo shows that they did crazy ass shit like that. So the luchas, the any of the indie wrestlers, mad props to all y'all. you know, you guys could do something I definitely couldn't. So, you know, I appreciate your work and your talents.
Hey, does Nacho still wrestle?
Nacho,
Not Nacho Libre.
you're asking the wrong motherfucker, dog. What's your bullshit? Who you picking on the match?
I'm going with Ray because yeah, he was tight. That
So
team.
all three of us are picking Dragon Lee and Ray.
Yep.
So
And
let's see how that goes.
Dragon Lee's a tight name too.
It is a tight name, isn't it?
Is he related to Bruce Lee?
So far, that's the only one we all agree on. The next one, they're saying is going to be Uso against Uso, Jay against Jimmy, and we got to kind of start getting a little quick through these. We're already an hour deep, so let's do quick little catch ups, and then we'll pick a winner. So
Grim,
the Jimmy,
Grim.
Grim had kind of alluded to it earlier. Also, the Bloodline storyline. I don't know if you're necessarily aware of that, but the Bloodline storyline is like the biggest wrestling storyline in the past 20 years, probably. And it's Roman Reigns is the head of the table of the Samoan dynasty, you know, of the Bloodline, and you know how they're all related. Jay and Jimmy, the Usos, are his cousins. He has a brother, or they also have a brother named what is his name? Solo Sikoa, and he's part of them. Rikishi obviously was part of the same bloodline. You know, Yokozuna was part of the same bloodline. The Rock, the Rock's
Ricky
grandfather, Peter
Uso
Maivia. What's that?
Whatever. Whatever
Rikishi
happened?
had.
Whatever happened to those guys?
The Wild Samoans. There's so many of them. Rikishi, he actually I think runs a school, and he can't really wrestle anymore. You know, I think he's kind of, you know, he's getting older and beat up. He might do like small appearances here and there, but nothing of any real big significance like that. But all of his sons, you know, he's got the
Yeah.
two Usos, he's got Solo Sikoa, and then there's another one.
So they're his sons.
Those
He has
three
five,
are
he has 5 kids in
Alright.
total, I believe.
Roman is his nephew. Um, Umaga was one of them. There's just so many of them that were in the actual family. So
So
the
remember, so Umaga was Jamal of 3 Minute Warning. For those of you who don't know, it's Rosie and Jamal, and Rosie's actually Roman Reigns' brother.
yeah, his name was Matt. He actually passed away a few years ago. But so the storyline is where Roman assumed the head of the family, the head of the table, and he became the champion. He's been the longest reigning champion in the modern history. Um, and they have been like his henchmen, his cousins, you know, along with him. And now The Rock is involved. And now The Rock was supposedly going to go against him for the head of the table, but seemingly joined him instead. And now he acknowledges him. That's one of his taglines is acknowledge me. And they all acknowledge him as the head of the table, Roman Reigns. So this Uso against Uso match came from when Jey Uso started to feel like what was going on with the bloodline wasn't what should be happening, that they were going about things in the wrong way because they're bad guys. And he decided, you know, that he was going to turn on them and he was going to go straight. So that's Jey Uso. Jimmy Uso is the other brother that stayed with him and continued to be a bad guy, to be a heel. So it's the blue Uso against the red Uso pretty much. And the taglines for Jay now, he says yeet all the time. Yeet is like his word, and the other one says no yeet. So it's kind of like this funny yeet against no yeet thing. But the Usos, they were known as being one of the best tag teams of all time. These dudes are incredible as a tag team. You know, they've had multiple championship reigns. I honestly thought that's how they would end their career as a tag team, which still might be the case. But one of them kept getting in trouble, kept getting DUIs and having, you know, hard times and shit. And he kind of left his brother out to dry a few times. And I think that's Jimmy to Jay. So Jay has always been like a responsible, reliable performer when his brother, you know, wasn't necessarily the case all the time. So I think that's also what made them have to split them up eventually, you know, because one wasn't available and the other one was. So there's all kinds of reasons why, but ultimately, their work speaks for itself. One of them is doing excellent heel work, and the other one is doing excellent babyface work. And they both have been fighting to have this Mania match for a little while now. So I'm glad that they got it. This is only the third WrestleMania match between real life brothers ever. First one was Brett and Owen. Second one was Matt and Jeff Hardy. So that's cool for the Usos to now be the third brothers that actually get to go against each other at Mania. And to be honest with you, I feel like it has to be Jimmy that wins, the bad guy, because he's kind of gotten the shitty end of a lot of this, and it's all been about his brother Jay. The whole story has been about Jay, pretty much. So I think it's time for Jimmy to kind of get more of the spotlight, more of his turn as the man, I guess, between the two. So that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking to see Jimmy pull it out and bust it and show Jay what's cracking here. That's my pick. What you got, Graham?
I was gonna say Jay, but just because I feel like the storyline's been going that way for a while. They've been costing him for freaking months. I get what you're saying. That's interesting. I do think he deserves it, and especially with his wife coming back to WWE recently. Naomi is Jimmy's
Yeah.
wife. For those of you who don't know, um, so I think he could potentially win too. But I'm going with Jay.
Gonna go with Jay. Now, also, another reason why I feel like it might be Jimmy is because the rest of the whole weekend about the bloodline, I feel like things are going to be changing. So I think Jimmy's the one that kind of needs the win there, you know, because I feel like Roman's going to count the lights on night 2, and I have a feeling it might be Rock that counts the lights on night 1, you know. So we'll see. Doja, who you got, Jimmy or Jay? Good guy or bad guy?
Bad guy.
I knew it. I almost
You
wrote
know,
it down ahead of.
because I'm always labeled as the bad guy.
I get it. I get
I'm a
it.
I'm the mile high villain. Ah.
So now that's 2 for Jimmy. So next we got it's a triple threat, or I'm sorry, it's a six-man tag team match with the women, and it's going to be Damage Control, which is Asuka,
Yeah.
Kairi Sane, and Dakota Kai against Bianca Belair, Naomi, who's Grim just mentioned, and Jade Cargill making her Mania debut. For those that don't know, Jade Cargill was a big star in AEW that made her debut in WWE at the Royal Rumble. So this is her first match since the Rumble. So we'll see what she's got. She's got a lot of star quality. So we'll see
Well,
what happens here. I personally feel like Damage Control is going to go through a lot of changes this weekend also. So I'm personally giving it to Jade and the girls there. I don't think that Damage Control really needs it. I think their storyline is coming to an end, so I think that's going to be the natural progression of it. Graham, what you think?
I do. So I think that the same team's going to win. Jade Cargill actually made her debut. I think it was at Survivor Series or yeah, I think it was Survivor Series. But she didn't actually in-ring debut until recently at the Royal Rumble. Everyone was wondering what they were going to do with her because it said that she has the same star power as The Rock. So everyone was waiting to see what kind of impact she was going to make in WWE. And so for her to join Bianca Belair and Naomi, I love both those wrestlers. I think they're dope. I freaking really love Bianca Belair. I've liked her for a long time. I think she's a dope wrestler, a powerhouse wrestler for the female division. And yeah, that's who I'm going with too.
I think the Jade and Bianca match is like that's a dream match that they're probably setting up right now. Ooh, I thought I had a sneeze. My bad. Yeah, I think they're setting up the Bianca and Jade match slowly. You know, like the slow builds that they've been happening with here lately. So that's what I think is probably going to end up happening at SummerSlam or Survivor Series or something like that. But yeah, that's my pick. Who you got, Doja?
The new one, the rookie, the nobody, the one that's starting up. You said at the beginning.
Yep.
Cargill.
So
Yeah.
we're all in agreement with Jade and Bianca and Naomi.
Well, it's because Damage Control, their story is coming to an end with Bailey winning the Rumble and all that stuff going on. Hint
Yep.
at night too. But so anyways, I do think it's coming to an end for Damage Control. The story's been building that way.
Yeah, I think so too. We'll get to that here in a second, but I agree. The next match, we're already coming up on an hour and 10, y'all. So we got to make this last a little bit quick. So the next match is for the Intercontinental title. It's Sami Zayn against the champion Gunther.
Sami Zayn, because after Gunter just beat the crap out of him on TV the other day and he's trying to get up, it's coming for a long time. This is also the longest reigning Intercontinental champion in history. I think he's going to lose it because he's getting in the heavyweight division, and Sami Zayn's going to be the one to take it. And I think Sami needs this win.
Doja, you got a pick?
Sammy.
You're gonna go with Sami Zayn.
Well, he
Now,
was so
I'm gonna go the opposite. I'm gonna go with Gunther because I think he needs it more than Sammy does. And I do agree that he's going to go into the heavyweight stuff here very soon, but I don't think it's quite yet. So I think that they're still going to extend this a little bit longer with Gunther. And to be honest with you, I feel like whoever takes it from Gunther, it needs to be somebody that could really benefit off of that. I don't necessarily feel like Sammy would benefit off of that. I think Sammy already is over enough on his own without any titles or anything like that. So I don't think he really needs it. I think it would be a waste of a somebody taking over if he were to beat Gunther. I think so. That's why I'm gonna stick with Gunther. Besides, he has a guy on his team named Vinci, so I gotta fuck with them dudes. But
Is Gunther related to Tootie?
yes, absolutely. They actually come from the same place in England. So good question. So the next match is supposedly the main event, or not supposedly, but it's going to be the main event for night one, and it's going to be the Bloodline, which is the Rock and Roman, against American Nightmare. No, American. What is it called?
American Nightmare, Cody Rhodes and Seth
No, they have something with their freaking
Mama.
Nightmare. It's called the freaking Nightmare. That's the name of their tag team with Cody Rhodes and Seth freaking Rollins. So I'm gonna go. Honestly, I feel like the Bloodline pulls it out because they're gonna have Bloodline rules. Because if the Bloodline wins this match, then the match with Roman and Cody for night two means that it'll be Bloodline rules. But if Cody and Seth win, then that means that the Bloodline is banned from the ring or involvement in the match. Now, I feel like the Bloodline has to be involved in that Mania match because they need to get all the odds against Cody as possible for him to overcome. So I feel like Bloodline wins night one.
I agree, but I think that's why my decision was that I thought Jay was going to win, to throw you off and make you think that the good guys are going to have night one. So I do feel that Bloodline's going to win, because how are you not going to have WrestleMania night two not have the Bloodline rules? But I also think that I think The Rock has something else up his sleeve.
That's the other possibility, is that The Rock turns on Roman or something like that and makes it so that there is no Bloodline involvement. But there are also rumors of other members of the family coming into the Bloodline and potentially making debuts and joining. I can't remember right off the top of my head which guys they are, but I know there are a couple that are in question. So yeah, Jacob Fatu is one of them. There's somebody else too that I think is Tamatonga's son, Tamatonga, or Haku's son. Anyway, that could be a possibility too. So who you got for night one, Doja?
Huh? I like the American night. What is it, Nightmare?
The
Or
freaking nightmare.
freaking Nightmare? Because
The freaking nightmare.
that's right up my alley. You know, I'm a freaking nightmare to this America. But I think just like how Taylor Swift won the Super Bowl, I'm gonna go with The Rock because he'll probably win the Super Bowl.
The bloodline.
So who do you want? Do you want the freaking Nightmare or do you want the Bloodline? Which one?
No, I'm for the American Nightmare, but I'm saying the way The Rock is probably it'll be
He'll end up
his
winning?
that'll win.
I see. I see.
Or the
So,
freaking
so,
Nightmare. I like that name. That's cool. Freaking Nightmare.
so you're also going Bloodline, but you would like for the other ones to win.
No, I think I can't see The Rock the losing ever.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel you. Okay, so that's all of night one. So let's hurry up and get into night two here. First match it shows is Seth Rollins against Drew McIntyre for the WWE Championship. I'm going with Drew. Yep, I'm going with Drew also. I think he has to win because Seth is hurt and they need somebody that's going to be a good champion. Drew had his Mania moment kind of fucked up because it was the year during COVID. So I think it's all coming full circle now, and I think this is his time for that title. So I'm going with Drew.
Coming up, so that's why I think they're gonna lock him into another contract by letting him get the title.
Yep. Who you got, Doja?
Seth.
Seth freaking Rollins.
Freaking A.
So the next match is the Final Testament, which is Karrion Kross and AOP against Bobby Lashley and the Street Profits. Now, I really like Karrion Kross. Don't really care so much for AOP, but I am a huge Lashley, and I do like the Street Profits. So I mean, Lashley, he reps Denver, so I got to give it to Lashley and the Street Profits.
Yeah, they need their retribution. They've been getting punked by Karrion Kross and the AOP for a minute, and I like that whole group too. I think they're dope as hell. I just feel that they're too similar to what Wyatt Six could have been, or trying to make Judgment Day Final Testament and stuff. And a lot of people said that. I get they're trying to be their own thing, but I like it. But I'm going in the Street Profits.
I'm going
the Street Profit, what's his name? I can't think
Montez?
of it. Huh?
Montez?
Yep, Montez Ford. He's Bianca Belair's husband.
Yep.
I'm going with the freaking Street Profits because I'm a street prophet. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, I do. That makes all of us for Bobby and the Profits.
Yeah.
Our next match is one that I think is going to be a potential show stealer for all of Mania, and that's going to be LA Knight against AJ Styles. Big AJ guy, not really sold on LA Knight yet, but I'm giving him this match. I'm expecting him to really show me something here because he's got an amazing opponent to work off of. And this could be, like I said, this could steal the show. So I'm hoping it does. So I'm actually going to go LA Knight here because I don't see any reason why AJ wins it. AJ doesn't necessarily need the win, and I think LA Knight does. So we'll see.
Hey, Knight, yeah, that's what I'm going with. And for those of you who don't know, that's his catchphrase.
What was the other guy's name?
AJ Styles.
The phenomenal one.
I'm going with Styles because oh, you can't see it. I have his name tattooed on my arm, Styles.
Yep. That's awesome.
So.
AJ is one of the best of all time, so that's hard to not go with AJ sometimes. So the next one is a triple threat for the United States Championship. You got Logan Paul, whose brother Jake Paul is going to take on Mike Tyson and get his ass whooped. I'm excited to watch that one. But it's going to be. Huh?
Yeah, I don't want that guy to win.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Logan Paul against Randy Orton against Kevin Owens.
Yeah.
Me personally, I would like to see Randy take it. I think Randy's the man. He's always been one of my favorites. I like KO also, but I think Randy's got the most momentum going into it. But I don't see them taking the title off Logan Paul, at least not yet. I see Logan having a couple more high-profile matches as the champion before they're ready to take it off of him. So I think that he's going to retain. Honestly, I would prefer Randy to win, but I think they're going to let Logan take it.
I agree with you on that. But if the two who did take it, it would be Orton, because Owens had a couple injuries recently, a broken hand, broken foot, you know what I mean? So inevitably they're going to probably give him time off.
So you're picking Logan also?
Hmm.
Who you got, Doja? Randy Orton,
Uh,
Logan Paul, or Kevin Owens?
Owens. Hey, I was saying, what if both the Pauls win?
If both the Pauls win, I will shit. I will fucking shit. Especially Jake Paul. If that motherfucker beats Mike Tyson, damn, I will be shitted. I won't even be able to handle it. I'm fumbling my words now just thinking about it. That's how fucking shocked I will be. But
Fuck it.
anything can happen.
Yeah, that'd be crazy.
I'm excited. We're definitely gonna have to do a show preview and a post show on that one too when that happens. um, our next match is going to be the Royal Rumble Women's title match, the main event from the Royal Rumble. Bayley, who is the winner, is taking on her now former stablemate in Io Sky. And to be honest with you, I feel like Io Sky has all the potential to be like this star, this huge, huge star. Unfortunately, I feel like the language barrier is always the knock on the Japanese performers, and I'm hoping that they're able to kind of keep working through that and break that barrier a little bit more, because I think Io has the potential to be a huge, huge crossover star into the main media if you were able to get some of the mic skills down a little bit better. Other than that, I think that Bayley's going to take it. Bayley, she's a fellow Martinez and she's badass, and I think it's her time. She's the only one of the four horsewomen to not really have her Mania moment. What's up, homie? And
Hey,
we got to run in.
do you recognize who this ugly kid is?
Let me see this ugly kid's face right here.
You remember me?
Oh, hell no. Shit, right there. Yeah.
Damn.
I thought that
Yeah, I'm a grown up now. Hey,
Damn,
Graham.
I thought he was your gardener. Shit.
Hey, Graham, this is my son.
Yeah,
Damn.
Isaiah.
Jeez.
I
Yeah,
remember Richard. I was like tiny little kid.
yeah, shit, all kinds of time. Nice to have you on the show, little brother.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Dope.
Yeah.
I was like, say what up. I was little trip out.
Damn, this guy. I can't even believe that shit. That trips me out. Welcome to the show, Isaiah. Welcome to the show.
Yeah, thank you.
We're going to our WrestleMania.
Oh,
Yeah, it's 10 hours of wrestling this weekend.
oh my god.
Look, Doja can't handle that shit. He said 10 hours. What the fuck?
That's crazy.
That's how much I got to work out.
That's how much I'm gonna have to work out this next week, because I've been getting my ass whooped. This cold ain't doing nothing, doing me no favors. Anyway, we're coming up on like our last 8 minutes here. So real quickly, I think it needs to go to Bayley. I think it's her time. It's her year to be the dominant champ. She's gonna go back face again. I don't think she's gonna be the hugger again or anything like that. But we're gonna see a new incarnation of a babyface Bayley, and I'm excited to see it. So that's who I'm going with. I'm going with Bayley here. Who you got? You got Bayley also?
I'm going with Bailey too, because like my homeboy, our homeboy, Ray, Ramus, Ramus the anus. He has a house up in Bailey, and it's fucking dope. And we stayed up there, so yeah,
That's
that's
good reasoning
that's
right there.
that's what that was the conclusion of the brainstorming of the answer of who I picked this time.
Hell yeah, very scientifically put too. I appreciate that. So we're all in agreement on Bailey also. We go so far, we only got 3 that we're all agreeing on. So the last match, the main event of the entire weekend.
Oh.
And huh?
Cody.
You're gonna go with Cody? Cody
Yeah.
finishes the story. I think it has to be. If it's not fucking Cody finishing his story, people are gonna be pissed, and I'm gonna be one of them. So it has to be Cody.
He can't fight for the title again. That's the stipulation too. If he loses here, he can't fucking come back for the title. And they did this storyline in AEW already. And he lost, and he could only get the TNT title. Remember?
I do remember that.
So
I think
he has to
I
win.
think I think this story has been one of the most well told stories in wrestling in a while. Um, I think they did have everybody kind of pissed off last year that it didn't go down the way that it should. So I'm hoping that they do it right this year. And I hope there's no cash in from Damian Priest. If there is, I hope it's not in this match. And if it is, I hope he loses. And Doja, who you got, Roman or Cody for the main event?
Roman, because I like how the Roman events were back in history when they would do some Roman stuff, you know.
Spoken like a true charioteer right there. Now, we have a few more minutes left here, Grim. Let's get into this potential 14th match. What do you think it might be?
I told you guys, I'm thinking it's going to be Taylor Rotunda making a debut.
Now, do you think it's going to be him interfering in a match? Do you think it's going to be some kind of just theatrics? What do you think it's going to be?
He's going to interfere in the Karrion Kross match, I think. I don't know. I just feel like with Scarlett and stuff like that, they're going to build some crazy stuff. And I don't know about AOP and Paul Ellering, maybe, but I do think it's going to be something to do with the Final Testament, maybe.
I like that. I like that. I hadn't thought about that at all with the Final Testament, but that's an awesome point. I just don't want it to be like this mirror images of each other shooting with each other just for the sake of it. Like I don't want to see Scarlett and Alexa Bliss just being like the token girls in the groups. Like I really want it to play out awesomely. So hopefully whatever they do it right. Anyway, I agree with you. I think that's going to be the 14th slot. We'll see if it happens. Catch us next week for our recap and review of WrestleMania 40. Until then, everybody, thank you for watching and listening to the Dro Bros.
Wait.
Doja, you got something before we out?
What are you drinking on over there?
This is I call it daddy juice. This was a little bit of Crown mixed with some cherry, cranberry juice.
How weird how the tables have turned these days. Someone's drinking and I'm not, huh?
I only have a drink every now and then, and I kind of like it during the show. You know, for some reason, that's the only time of the week that you'll see me drink is during the show.
I haven't had a drink in like a month or two, actually.
That's good. I'm proud of you. Keep it up.
And I don't drink at all.
Hey, I don't want your pride. Don't you know that's a 7 deadly sin, mister?
It's one of them for sure. But that's pride and excessiveness. You know, you can be proud of who you are and your accomplishments. You just don't have to be overly doing it. You know.
No, because that's part of ego.
Oh, see, now you're really trying to get into Bruce. Anyway, everybody, thank you for tuning into the Dro Bro Show. This has been episode 6, our Mania preview. Let's see who y'all got in the comments. Dro Bro's out.
Later.
Bye.